Kyiv was jolted awake in the dead of night. In the wee hours of Saturday, explosions ripped through Ukraine's capital as Russia launched a fresh wave of missile and drone attacks. Air raid sirens wailed, air defenses thundered into action. Journalists on the ground reported repeated blasts over the next hour, including the interception of a ballistic missile, as officials warned residents to stay inside shelters. By morning, the toll was clear. 1 person was dead. 4 others were wounded. Fires burned across multiple districts after falling debris struck residential buildings. In the Helosievsky district, 2 people were hospitalized in serious condition. Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said parts of the city were left without heat and running water, a brutal blow as winter temperatures grip the capital. Damage was reported in Desnyansky, Dniprovsky, and Salomyansky districts. Emergency crews flooded the streets, 134 rescuers, dozens of fire engines, police, medics, volunteers, and city workers racing to contain the destruction. Kyiv was not alone. In Ukraine's second-largest city, Kharkiv, a separate barrage tore through neighborhoods in the northeast. Strikes damaged a maternity hospital and a dormitory housing displaced people. At least 11 people were injured. Fires erupted and shattered buildings stood as grim proof of another sleepless night under fire. These attacks came hours after Kyiv, Moscow, and Washington held their first known trilateral talks since the war began, meeting in Abu Dhabi with plans to continue negotiations over the weekend. Russia sent senior military and intelligence officials. Ukraine dispatched top diplomats and security figures. The United States was represented by envoys close to President Donald Trump. At the heart of the talks, territory, particularly the mineral-rich Donbass, long demanded by Moscow and firmly rejected by Kyiv. Yet, as diplomats spoke of peace, missiles fell. Ukraine's negotiator Rustem Umerov said discussions focused on a dignified and lasting peace, while President Volodymyr Zelensky cautioned it was too early to judge the outcome. The main thing, he said, is whether Russia is finally ready to end the war. 4 years into the conflict, Russia still occupies roughly 20% of Ukraine, including much of Luhansk and parts of Donetsk, Kherson, and Zaporizhzhia. And once again, winter has become a weapon. Repeated Russian strikes on Ukraine's energy infrastructure, attacks repeated every winter since 2022, have plunged cities into darkness, cold, and water shortages. As negotiations continue behind closed doors, Ukrainians endure another freezing night, waiting to see whether diplomacy can succeed where air defenses are strong. A late-night meeting that could redraw the course of the Ukraine war. Behind closed doors in Moscow, Russia's president sits down with American envoys. The talks are described by the Kremlin as substantive, constructive, and very frank. And they come as diplomatic momentum suddenly accelerates under President Donald Trump. Kremlin foreign policy aide Yuri Ushakov says the Americans arrived well prepared. He says the United States had done significant groundwork on security discussions. The Kremlin says there is hope these talks could now lead to a settlement being found. That language is carefully chosen and rarely used. According to Ushakov, the talks are not ending in Moscow. The next step is already agreed: 3-way security negotiations involving Russia, the United States, and Ukraine. Those talks are set to take place in Abu Dhabi later on Friday. The Kremlin says the U.S. envoys shared their assessment of President Trump's recent meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky